Welcome to the IREL podcast. Are you sick and tired of real estate gurus pitching their next pre-construction deal only to find out years later they were completely wrong? Worried the next overseas conference you spend thousands to attend will only be used to sell overpriced lots in deserted developments? Join thousands of other international real estate seekers who are looking for their place in paradise without the sales pitch. Straight from your host, Taylor White.
Hey everybody, and welcome to episode 19 of the IREL podcast. I'm your host, Taylor White. I have to come clean and tell you, you might be listening to one of the best insiders yet when I sit down and speak with Dave Causey from Ecuador Property Consultants in Bahia de Caraquez, Ecuador, and we will get the true story on the Bahia real estate scene and have you coming away wanting to investigate its local property market further or cross it off your shortlist entirely and continue listening. Right now from Dave, you will learn why he and his wife Miriam chose the beachside town of Bahia over other expat-friendly locations like Quito and Cotacachi. Exposes the game-changing event that just happened in Bahia to cut drive time down by a full 3 hours from Quito. Reveals one of the most honest answers I have ever heard about buying pre-construction and reasons why he believes it might be a horrible idea. Breaks down what he recommends his clients to buy, especially if they are looking for part-time cash flow when not in use. Speaks candidly about the different price levels of apartments he has in inventory and what to expect when buying beachfront, non-beachfront, and ocean view apartments, and much more. And don't forget, if you are listening to this podcast and want to grab Dave's contact details, links on buying or selling Bahia real estate, or any other show notes, head on over to irelpodcast.com/19. Sip on a completely non-Ecuadorian margarita, enjoy some fresh guinea pig, and get ready for one of our best episodes yet. In case you can't tell, I'm excited. Let's get Dave on the phone. What's going on, Dave? It's Taylor White. I'm excited to have you on the podcast today, straight from Bahia de Caraquez. So we can get to know you personally. Tell us more about yourself and where your stomping grounds were before you ended up in Bahia.
Well, Taylor, I was born in South Carolina near Myrtle Beach. My dad moved us to a small town south of Richmond, Virginia. He owned a painting contractor business, so it's fair to say that I've been around new construction most of my life. After attending 2 years of college, I started my career in retail management. I transferred around the Southeast for several years, putting in lots of long hours, handling all aspects of running a large store. I was managing 100 plus people and working 80 hours a week, so I really needed to change my life. I returned home, got involved in the sales side of the construction industry, which naturally led me to real estate. It was an easy transition for me. Once I got my realtor's license, I sold a house the first week in the business, and I was hooked. I absolutely loved the business. I was quite successful. Now here we are some 29 years later, and I still have an active license in Virginia. Anyway, I sold actively for 12 years, and during that time I built several houses and did some small development projects. Then, quite frankly, I got burned out in real estate. I walked away from the real estate business and got into corporate sales.
Hey, Dave, I'm curious, off the top of your head, do you know what the sales price was on the first house that you sold?
That is a great question, Taylor. Let me think. I do know it was a military guy who wanted to rent. I showed him how he could buy with little money down, and I think the price was like $59,000 or $69,500, something like that.
We're soon going to find out, but that's Ecuador prices. Close.
That's very close, yes.
Awesome, David. And so we can get a better idea of you professionally, give us your brief resume leading up to Ecuador Property Consultants.
Okay, let's fast forward 15 years, Taylor. I'd risen through the ranks of corporate sales and had a great job. I was vice president of sales and marketing for a company, flying all over the country with an unlimited expense account, calling on Fortune 100 companies. I was single, making great money. I was having the time of my life. And then something even better happened. One weekend, some friends of mine talked me into going to hear this cool band play at one of our local clubs. I said yes because I knew the leader of the band and I hadn't seen him in a few years. He was an old acquaintance of mine and I looked forward to reconnecting. That's where I met my wife, Miriam Weaver. You can imagine the place was packed, and I actually bumped into her by accident. Now, being the shy, bashful guy that I am, I asked her to dance. I was pleasantly surprised when she said yes. So we danced the night away, had a great time. I walked her to the car, kissed her goodnight, and the stars flew. They really did. We started dating, and Miriam and I have been together ever since. Well, by this time, life on the road was getting old to me. It seemed like that every city looked the same, every restaurant meal tasted the same, and the newness of sleeping in a nice hotel was long gone. I remember vividly that one morning I woke up on the road. I couldn't even remember what day it was, what city I was in, and to add insult to injury, Taylor, I couldn't even remember what rental car I was driving that week. So I knew it was time for a change. Now, the short version is Miriam and I got married. We moved to Charlotte, North Carolina, and we opened a very successful high-end home improvement company. Miriam's background was sales and interior design, so it was a great fit. We sold custom-made slide-outs for kitchen cabinets. Things were going along so good. I mean, things were great until the crash of '08 hit. I'm sure some of your listeners can identify with that.
Absolutely.
Wow. You talk about a wake-up call. Our sales just fell off a cliff. Overnight, the phone stopped ringing. It was amazing how fast it happened. So we just shut her down. Miriam went back to work for a year. I spent all of my time researching living overseas. We closed the doors, closed our business, sold all of our personal belongings, all of our stuff, and moved to Ecuador. Now, Miriam, in a past life, she traveled extensively in Europe, so we both had a desire to live abroad. So 3 years later, here we are.
Well, Dave, I love that story. And listeners and I are always fascinated to learn about which countries people have considered and why. Now, let's delve deeper into Ecuador as a whole, and then why you chose Bahia in particular versus other popular Ecuadorian locations.
Great. Well, anyway, we divided our family keepsakes among our children. We sold the rest, hopped on a plane. We landed in Quito and spent a week sightseeing there. Now, that's a gorgeous city, and I'd encourage anyone to visit. It's beautiful. Our attorney, who was preparing our paperwork for our resident visas, suggested that we visit Cotacachi. Cotacachi it was, and so we spent 6 great months there. It's situated in the foothills of 2 large mountains. The views are absolutely fantastic. I actually have a few listings there. It's also a really good expat favorite place to land. Anyway, it was too cold for us, and besides, I'm a water boy. I grew up on the James River in Virginia, so we moved to the coast here. Some of our Cotacachi friends had just moved from Bahia, and they were raving about how nice this place was, so we followed them here by about 2 weeks. Anyway, Bahia is a small town of about 25,000 on a peninsula between the Chone River and the Pacific Ocean. The weather here is near perfect. We're only an hour and 15 minutes from Manta, and we've got everything we need right here. They're even building a new shopping center, and it's going to have a large grocery store and a movie theater. I can't wait for the movie theater. That'll be great.
Hey, Dave, I'm curious. Between Cuenca and Cotacachi, which place did you like more?
Man, that's a toss-up. I like Cotacachi better. It's a smaller town. It's really nice. It's got the leather street. I mean, it looks like Rodeo Drive, actually. Really high-end leather products. Like I said, it's the foothills of Mount Imbaburu and Mount Cotacachi. One mountain is 15,000 feet. The other one is 13,000 feet. Cotacachi itself is about 8,000 feet high. And it's absolutely beautiful. Prices there are actually a lot less than they are here on the coast.
Plus, I've been to both places. It's a bit cold for my taste as well, as I know that you like the beach, and I'd have to say that I'm kind of more of a beach guy as well.
Absolutely. I mean, we live right on the ocean, the Pacific Ocean, in an 8th-floor condo, and we watch the pelicans fly by and the frigate birds fly by at eye level, and it's kind of cool.
That's awesome. Well, Dave, we have gotten to know you both personally and professionally, reasons why you chose Ecuador and why Bahia speaks to you. But get ready, because now it's time for us to pick your brain on the local real estate scene. And to get the juices flowing, we're going to do a quick round of what I like to call the real estate hot seat. We'll ask you 5 rapid-fire questions, and you give me an answer in 15 seconds or less each. Dave, are you ready for the Bahia hot seat?
Yes, sir. Fire away.
All righty. What currency is real estate priced in?
Oh, that's an easy one. The U.S. dollar. Unlike the U.S., where the dollar keeps losing purchasing power, and I'm sure some of your listeners can identify with that, the dollar is really strong here. As a matter of fact, we found that the cost of living here is a third of what it is in the States.
Is owning property as a foreigner legal?
That's a great question, Taylor. Yes. You have all the same legal rights as an Ecuadorian here when it comes to real estate. Now, I've written a guide to the process, and it's free on our website. So I'll share that information with you at the end of the podcast.
That's perfect. Can property be titled?
Yes, again. Once you've signed an agreement to buy and all the requirements have been met, making sure that there's a clear title, you move to closing. Now, closings are done in a notary's office, and then the deed is recorded in your name. Now, notaries here are different than back in the States. They have far more legal power, and they're similar to judges here.
Can money flow in and out of Ecuador easily, or are there currency restrictions?
At present, there are no currency restrictions, so yes, Ecuador has opened its arms to expats from all over the world. Your money is more than welcome. Wire transfers are commonplace. Money is flowing into the country. It's pretty simple and easy to do.
And as listeners know, Dave, my number one question, what is your favorite local drink?
I thought this was going to be a hard question, Taylor.
One's got to be easy, Dave. One's got to be easy.
Well, there's a really great local restaurant here, a Mexican restaurant, and they make killer margaritas. They are so good, but be careful, they're deadly. Now, for those of you that don't drink alcoholic beverages, there's an abundance here of fresh squeezed juices from all kinds, a wide variety of locally grown fruits.
Okay, Dave, you can now relax, but just a little bit as you are off the Bahia hot seat. But it's time to zero in on the local real estate scene. Give us your brief synopsis on the Bahia real estate market over the last few years, where it is today, and then where you see it heading for the next few years.
Well, Bahia has always been a premier vacation destination for wealthy Ecuadorians from Quito. It was a sleepy little town surrounded by water, the Pacific Ocean and the wide Choni River. The Malecon, our boardwalk, runs from the new bridge across the river, around the point where the river and the ocean meet, and right on the ocean for about a mile. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. These wealthy Quiteñans only come to the coast for vacation and holidays, about 4 times a year. The rest of the time, we've got the place for ourselves. For example, Miriam and I live in an 8-floor condo overlooking the Pacific Ocean. There are 22 units in our building, and only 6 couples live here full time. Miriam and I try to walk on the beach every morning, and it's never crowded, even during holidays. I mentioned earlier the new bridge. There's a new state-of-the-art bridge across the river connecting Bahia to San Vicente. Now, this has only been open, Taylor, for about 3.5 years, and it's been a real game changer. It's cut the drive time from Quito down by 3 hours. Before the new bridge was built, you had to take a ferry across the river, and during holidays, it would back up, and the wait could be up to 4 hours.
Wow.
Now, and now it's just a 5-minute drive across the river. So, I also mentioned that we have a new shopping center opening soon. It's going to have all kinds of shopping options. We're going to have, Bahia has been designated an eco city, and there's no air pollution here, not much noise pollution, although Ecuadorians like to party on holidays. Real estate sales have been steady. The market is vibrant and appreciated. People that come here tell me, after they've been searching all over the country, that Bahia is one of the cleanest cities that they've ever visited here in Ecuador. Now, I mentioned earlier that the new bridge, well, there's a new highway also that runs up the coast, so it makes it real safe and easy to get here. In my opinion, and this is my opinion based on many years of real estate experience, things couldn't be better for the local real estate market here. We've got great, steady growth with great appreciation, and there's still a lot of good buys out there, Taylor.
Hey, Dave, I'm curious. If we're looking at a map of Ecuador and we see Bahia, can you kind of just say what's around Bahia so maybe listeners and I can get an idea of where it's located?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're about an hour and 15 minutes north of Manta. We're 30 minutes south of Canoa. We're 10 minutes across the river to San Vicente. South of us, about 30 minutes, is San Clemente, San Alejo, San Jacinto, and about 45 minutes is Crisita.
And then how far are you from Guayaquil?
We're by car, about 4 hours from Guayaquil.
And then how far are you from Quito again?
From Quito, it depends. There's so many ways to get here.
Oh, okay.
But if you drive in the car, it's about an 8-hour drive. You can fly to Manta, which is a 30-minute flight from Quito to Manta, and then an hour and 15-minute drive to Bahia. Now, you can fly into Guayaquil and come up the coast, or fly to Quito and then hop over to Manta. But we've got you covered. We've got drivers in both cities that could get you here.
So it sounds like, I'm going to follow up again, Dave, if you don't mind, if listeners from the States, let's say, would fly into Quito, they would fly into Manta, and then your drivers could pick them up from there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We also have drivers that work out of Guayaquil as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Dave, you have us sold on Ecuador as a country, Bahia as a location, and then its real estate outlook within the near future. Of course, you don't have a crystal ball. I sure as heck don't. No one does. But that is why I think it's so vitally important to get on-the-ground insight from local real estate professionals. And yes, Dave, I just used the words local and on-the-ground in the same sentence to drive home a very important fact. You are not some newsletter writer who might spend a few days in Bahia and then send out emails with hot buys calling yourself an international real estate guru. You are there in the trenches on a daily basis, dealing with local buyers, sellers, agents, lawyers, and every facet of the real estate business. Dave, break this down even further for us. Pretend you are Google Maps or Google Street View. What streets, neighborhoods, or parts of the city are we talking about in Bahia?
Well, Taylor, I cover an extended market area north and south of Bahia. I go south of Manta to Portocayo and north of Bahia to Hama. That includes the villages of Crisita, San Jacinto, San Clemente, San Vicente, and the little surf town of Canoa. Canoa has been described by a lot of folks as a baby Montanita. Each of these places has their own unique appeal, and it all comes down to what your lifestyle is and what's in your budget. In Bahia, your best bet now is going to be an oceanfront condo. Or do as some folks have done and find a nice house a few blocks in off the water. Several expats have done well buying and renovating homes here. That's because labor and materials are still very, very reasonable. Now, all of these other towns that I mentioned are up and coming. The infrastructure may not be as nice as Bahia, but the prices reflect that. Bahia is a great place to be based out of if you're doing an exploratory visit on the coast. You can take day trips up and down the coast from here. Transportation is still very affordable. Now, my wife, Miriam, she manages our rental arm of our real estate business, and she has several condos available for long-term rentals. They're listed on our website. The most important thing I want to stress is that there are a lot of options available here. There's a wide range of properties for sale to satisfy any budget. Whether it's a beachfront condo, a house, or land, or a lot on the beach, I've got you covered.
Well, Dave, now that we have specific locations in mind, what types of properties do you recommend? And first, let me give you a few brief examples of what I mean. Are we talking about buying pre-construction units for capital appreciation that we later flip? Are we talking about buying completed apartments, houses, or office spaces to generate rental income? Or are we talking about buying land to either sell as is or subdivide into smaller tracts? Dave, give us a better idea of what you are talking about and recommending today.
Taylor, after having a real estate license in the States for over 29 years, I try to cover all the bases. I usually like to meet with folks, meet with them, get to know them, find out their lifestyle, their needs, before I recommend anything. I think that's really important. I'm also very careful when it comes to recommending pre-sales. The coast is littered, and I mean to tell you, it's littered with stalled projects because the developers ran out of money. Pre-sales, on the other hand, are a great way to create instant equity, but be sure you do your due diligence. My investment advice is also predicated on time. What's your time frame? Are you looking for a 1-year play or a 5-year play? Now, if you're looking to buy and hold, raw land or oceanfront lots are a good bet. Not retiring for a few years? Well, buy a condo, let us rent it out for you until you move down. Your condo is going to generate excellent rental income while it's appreciating. I might also add that there's a need here for long-term rental units. We're seeing a lot of people, due to the financial beatings that they received in the U.S. markets, moving here with plans to rent forever. Right now, I'm currently seeking high net worth individuals for development projects. I have at my disposal several large parcels of land that are priced below market, just begging to be developed. I also have a wide selection of beachfront lots that would be ideal for condo projects.
Okay, Dave, now I'm going to hit you up with a 2-part question that I know everyone wants to know, and you have to give us a general range so we have some price points in mind. Here they are, part 1. What would be the price range of what we are talking about? Maybe give us a starting price point at the low end to a final price point at the high end. And Dave, just to clarify, I'm talking about total purchase price.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I have properties listed from $49,500 for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo in Crescita to a beachfront villa for $650,000 outside of Canoa, and everything in between. In Bahia, oceanfront condos go from a low of around $85,000 to $200,000 plus, with the average being somewhere between $100,000 and $150,000. Now, you can still find a great 2 or 3 bedroom oceanfront condo here in Bahia under $150,000. And if you decide to rent it out, I promise you we can keep it full for you with retiring expats.
And then, Dave, let's transition to a part 2. I know it's tough, but I'm going to ask it anyways. What would be the cost per meter? Again, maybe a starting price point at the low end, final price point at the high end. And Dave, just for kind of a general range.
Okay. Well, there again, it's the age-old adage about real estate. Location, location, location. Everybody's heard that. It's the same here. In Bahia, oceanfront condos go for an average of about $1,000 a square meter. In Canoa, it's pushing $1,200 a square meter. That stretch of beach just got voted the nicest beach in Ecuador. It's about a 17-kilometer stretch, and it's beautiful. In San Clemente and Crescita, it drops down to an average of $750 a square meter. In Manta, you might pay as high as $1,500 or $1,600 per square meter for a nice oceanfront condo. There are, however, exceptions on both ends of the spectrum, but those are a good rule of thumb numbers, okay?
And for listeners like me who are used to dealing in square feet, divide the number you hear by 10.76, or maybe just a flat 10 to keep it easy, and you get close enough numbers to get an idea of what Dave is referring to. Okay, Dave, this is a question I like to call, what would sister do? My sister calls you up, says she has X amount of dollars to spend. You know, you can't let my sister down, Dave. Share with us 3 specific examples you would show her and explain why these make sense.
Well, Taylor, the safest, most secure investment that she or anyone could make would be to buy a condo. There's the pent-up demand, rental demands here, and there's good, solid market appreciation. Even if someone's personal situation were to change due to health, and I've had that happen, or whatever they needed to sell in a hurry, the condo is the best ticket. They're easy to flip. I have several 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos here in Bahia for $119,500. I also just listed a condo project in San Clemente where, believe it or not, I have a 3-bedroom, 2-full-bath unit for only $62,500. That's right, $62,500.
That's an awesome price.
It really is. I also have an exceptional 2-bedroom, 2-bath, fully furnished condo in Canoa for only $129,500. You step right out of the door of your unit to the infinity pool right on the beach.
Hey, Dave, I'm going to throw you back onto the hot seat. I'm going to add a sixth question to that, if you don't mind. Those condos that you just talked about, a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom for $119, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath for $62, and a 2-bedroom, 2-bath for $129. I know this is off the top of your head, but can you give us a hypothetical what those might rent out for, either per month or per 3 months or 6 months or 12 months, depending on your contracts?
Man, that is a great question. I'd be more than happy to answer that. Here in Bahia, condos on the Malecon rent for about $750 a month. Go back in a block or two off the beach, and you can find things for $350 to $550 a month. In Canoa, right on the beach, this condo that I had for $129.5, since that is a really hot vacation spot, that condominium would rent for $1,200 to $1,500 a week. Now, if you drop down to San Clemente or San Jacinto or Cressida, you're going to find rentals in the $450 to $600 price range.
Okay, Dave, we are laser focused on specific areas of Bahia. We know our starting price point. We have an idea of cost per meter. We have 3 specific examples which are good enough even for my sister. Now, let me ask you an obvious question. How do we buy? Do we need to come in with all cash, whether that's from our checking account, home equity line of credit, or retirement funds? Or can we come in with a certain percentage down and get local financing from a bank or credit union?
Well, the most important thing that I could share, and it's really, really important, make sure that you buy with someone that you're comfortable with and has a solid reputation. I've written a book titled The Expat Guide to Buying Real Estate in Ecuador that explains the buying process here in Ecuador, step by step. It's free. I encourage our listeners to go to our website, click on the subscribe button, and they'll get the free booklet. Most transactions are all cash. However, with that said, Taylor, we're starting to see some partial owner financing, and of course, most new condo projects can be purchased with 3 or 4 payments spread out over the construction period, with the final payment being due at occupancy. You don't even want to think about getting a loan from a bank here. The mortgage rates here, they usually require 30% down, and the interest rates can be 12 to 15%. Pretty high.
That's a little bit too high, Dave.
Yeah, it is.
So it sounds like you're either going to come in with all cash, whether you get financing from your home country on like a home equity line of credit or something like that, and you're going to pay cash in Ecuador. You might get owner financing if the owner is there and wants to work out something creative, or possibly if you're buying pre-construction from the developer, they might do staged payments.
That is correct.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Dave, anyone who has ever owned real estate can tell you, you need to have a money exit strategy in place even before you buy. It's something what I like to call, where's the cheddar? You are buying the property to do what with it to make some money. So, Dave, where's my cheddar?
Well, Taylor, I know that you know this, but you make your money in real estate when you buy, not when you sell. So the key, and it's a really important key, is to buy right. Make sure that the realtor you're dealing with can provide you with comps. What's on the market that is comparable and at what price? What do recent sales look like? Your realtor should be able to tell you the fair market price of the property you're interested in. Again, location is a key factor. For example, I have a home listed in San Vicente that's a great investment opportunity. It has tremendous income producing potential. It's listed for $119.5. It's over 600 square meters of living space. Here in Bahia, and this is the truth, that home would sell for over $300,000. So regardless of what you intend to do with your property purchase, make sure it'll stand on its own and has income producing potential. If you were to leave for an extended period of time for whatever reason, be sure that you can rent it out. The cash flow generated will pay for the upkeep and probably a few flights back home if needed.
Well, Dave, I wanted to thank you for taking the time to share with us about Bahia real estate. We have heard about your journey, why you chose Ecuador, exact areas of Bahia to focus on, price points to look out for, specific examples good enough even for my sister, a money strategy to purchase, and then what we might do with it after the fact to make some cheddar. Unfortunately, it's time to say goodbye. But before we do, share with us easy ways to get a hold of you, any parting advice you might want to share, and then let's say goodbye.
Taylor, the best way to get to us and to reach us is to go to our website. It's www.ecuadorpropertyconsultants.com. all lowercase, all one word. Now, while there, you can read about Miriam and my personal story about how we came to Ecuador. I encourage our listeners to download our free report. Also, subscribe to our newsletter. Once you do that, you'll receive free weekly updates, new listings, and what's happening in the market. If you're on Facebook, please like our page, Ecuador Living. There, you'll get the real flavor of our day-to-day life living here. Our email address is info@ecuadorpropertyconsultants.com. Drop us a line. I talk to people from all over the world using Skype. I love Skype. My Skype name, by the way, is DM Causey. That's DMCAUSEY. And Miriam's is MMM Weaver. You can also call us on our Magic Jack number, and that number is 804-858-4289. The international number is 011 plus 593 plus 98 plus 285 6951. When you're on the ground here in Ecuador, you can call us on our cells. My cell phone number is 098-285-6951. Miriam's cell is 098-289-6208. The most important thing I can tell you is to be sure to work with a professional realtor. Someone who lives here, has a web presence, as well as a track record. The industry here is new and maturing, and there's still, I hate to admit it, but a lot of fly-by-night guys out there. So folks, please be careful. Also, learn the market by being on the ground and doing your footwork. There's a lot of old or inaccurate information out there on the World Wide Web, so please do your homework.
Absolutely fantastic, Dave. I have really enjoyed this conversation straight from Bahia, Ecuador to our earbuds, and I hope we can catch up again in 3 to 6 months.
Taylor, it's been great. As a parting gift to our listeners, I want to offer them a bonus, okay? I'm offering your listeners a free 30-minute, no-holds-barred, tell it like it is consultation on Ecuador real estate. I promise I'm going to share the good, the bad, and the ugly. Just send us an email with your phone number and the best time to call. Don't forget to include your time zone, and Miriam and I will be happy to give you a call. I hope we talk again soon, Taylor. Bye.
You have been listening to the IREL Podcast with Taylor White. Be sure to hit up IRELpodcast.com for more. That's IRELpodcast.com. Thanks for listening.